49ers, I've got some questions heading into this pre-draft week, and I'm at a cool spot. I'm at Salesforce Park, downtown San Francisco, tallest building on the West Coast. Yes, I consider it taller than the building in LA because they don't have a spire to count here. Korean Airlines building in LA counts the spire. Salesforce Tower in San Francisco doesn't have a spire to count. Counting the spire is cheating. That's the Salesforce Tower. There's 181 Fremont, tallest residential building west of the Mississippi River. And then this right here is Salesforce Park. One day, it's going to be the train station in San Francisco once the train is actually built. Today, it's going to become our studio. We can sit down here, we can place the tripod down, we can talk about the 49ers and the biggest questions I have regarding the 49ers, the ultimate team construction entering this NFL draft, because I think everything should be talked about within the context of this roster. So one question I have, defensive tackle position. Will the 49ers be able to find DT starters in this coming NFL draft? Because if you look at the roster, the biggest holes, plural, defensive tackle. Yeah, you could say they have a hole at backup offensive tackle. Yeah, you could say they have a hole at backup defensive end. They have two guys who can start at defensive end right now between Nick Bosa and Yetur Gross-Matos. It wouldn't be the worst starting duo in the league. In fact, it'd probably be one of the better starting duos in the league. Just because of Nick Bosa and the fact that Yetur Gross-Matos has some upside. He's already been an NFC Defensive Player of the Week, but they need depth there. I get it. They need depth at linebacker. I get it. They need depth at running back. I get it. They might even need some depth at the wide receiver position. I get that as well. But as far as instant impact starter need for the 49ers to be a bona fide Super Bowl contending team, it's defensive tackle that has that glaring need. Are they going to be able to find defensive tackle starting talent in this draft? The preliminary appraisal of this draft class suggests yes, which is a lot of the reason why the 49ers have proceeded the way they have strategically over the course of this offseason. This was a bad defense last year. They were number 29 against the run. A lot of the other markers against the run, when we look at it statistically, and including the fact that they used more 7+ man boxes than any other team in the NFL, a lot of those markers suggested and very clearly stated, more than suggested, that you don't run it back with the defense that they had. So you look to see where the cost inefficiencies are, and you look to replace those as quickly as possible. It wasn't a run it back kind of performance for the 49ers defensively last year. It was a get everyone that is not worthy the hell out of the building kind of performance. So Malik Collins, Leonard Floyd, guys who were set to make about $10 million, 49ers save that money. And they look at this draft class and they see a ton of defensive tackles. The meat of the draft should be rich with defensive tackle talent. Can the 49ers find starting caliber players in the meat of the NFL draft? That is the big question for defensive tackle, because there is a world, and I don't think it's crazy, in which they don't use that top pick on a defensive tackle. They might use it for an offensive tackle. They might use it on the offensive side of the ball. If Armand Membu or Will Campbell is there, I think it's a no-brainer. You have to use it for offensive tackle, but you still have the defensive tackle need. So you're going to have to hope that this draft class is deep enough on the interior defensive line to be able to satisfy that starting need later on. Second question I have is, D. Winters good enough? In the 49ers' eyes, and also just in general, is he good enough to be that second linebacker for San Francisco, replacing Dre Greenlaw? Because last year, I don't think that the consistency was there, in large part because of the lack of consistent health from D. Winters. So is he going to be able to take a step up in the durability department to be able to deliver in that way for the 49ers? Are the 49ers going to draft somebody? I know Matt Barrows, his draft crush, he writes it every year. It's Chris Paul Jr., not related to Chris Paul, the basketball player, who now plays for San Antonio. I don't follow the NBA all that closely. I know the Warriors play a huge game tomorrow. So I'll obviously be watching that. And I was watching the Warriors the other night, and they were playing the Spurs, and there's Chris Paul, year 20 in the NBA. So there's going to be a Chris Paul Jr., who's not related to that Chris Paul who's playing year 1 or on his way to year 1. in the NFL. That's Matt Barrows' draft crush. Is that somebody they could bring in to reprise the role of Dre Greenlaw? Is D. Winters going to be in the driver's seat for that? I know they really like D. I know he can cover, but I do know the durability has been an issue. Durability was an issue for Dre, which is one big reason why he still is no longer with the 49ers at this point. So they need to find the Robin to Fred Warner's Batman now that Dre Greenlaw has left. And this all ties into the defensive tackle point because the defense was bad last year. Period. You know, there was so much drama and so much controversy over the course of the offseason here, especially free agency, about the 49ers letting players walk. And it's like, guys, they weren't good last year. The offense was, you know, I don't want to say fine. It was above average. They had a lot of injuries too. There were issues the 49ers had to fix offensively. I think the biggest issue that the 49ers had to fix offensively and still have to fix offensively is the separation issue. And then obviously the run offense issue was bad. I mean, there were things that obviously need tweaking for San Francisco moving forward. And that's going to be my next question here coming up along the offensive line. But it wasn't an abject disaster in one entire phase of football like the defense was against the run. And then the run impacts everything else. So the front seven, when I talk about the defensive tackles, question one, and when I talk about D. Winters, that weak side linebacker position where Dre Greenlaw's vacated, question two, those both tie very, very directly into the biggest fundamental weakness of the 49ers last year, if we exclude special teams, which was a disaster last season. And I can't wait to see how they answer it. I can't rule out a Jahad Campbell drafting. Maybe he drops the best linebacker in this draft. Maybe he drops all the way down to the second round, in which case, game on. Pick the best linebacker in the draft out of Alabama. Got the labrum surgery. Might hurt the stock to an extent where the 49ers are able to get him a little bit later. Question number three. What is the long-term plan for the 49ers at left tackle and at center? Because at left tackle, I'm not young anymore. I'm 36. I got some gray hairs coming in. So Trent Williams is my age. I think he's a little bit older than me. There's only one player on this entire 49ers roster who is older than me. Oh, no, there's two now. Sorry. We got a new long snapper in the conversation here. John Weeks, he's 39. So John Weeks is older than me. But I'm 36, and before John Weeks came in to replace Tabor Pepper, Trent Williams, 36, was a couple years older than me. Anyway, the point is that he's no spring chicken. You've got to have a plan at left tackle. That might be the hardest position to acquire other than quarterback in this league. The 49ers, you know, is a combination of ingenuity and luck when Joe Staley retired following the 2019 season. San Francisco was able to trade for Trent Williams, who's coming off of a cancer recovery. Fifth-round pick to Washington. What a steal that ended up being. They got Williams for a fifth-round pick. He re-signed with them for record money after that 2020 season. Heading into 2021, he's been more than worth it. He's been an anchor. He's been a rising tide that's lifted all boats on the 49ers offensive line. But he's 36. And, I mean, he missed about half the season last year. So do the 49ers start thinking of a succession plan now? Because your right tackle, Colton McKivitz, is improving. I think Colton played a lot better than he's getting credit for. But even if he's improving, he is on a lame duck deal. This is last season of Colton McKivitz under contract. And let's be honest with ourselves. The 49ers can get better at right tackle. They can get better at swing tackle. Who's the swing tackle on this team right now? Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford is somebody the 49ers drafted and inserted at guard to begin with, and he struggled at guard to the point where John Feliciano replaced him, to the point where Dominic Pooney is now the starting right guard for the 49ers. So Burford might be your starting, or not your starting swing tackle, but your top swing tackle. And if that's the case, then the case can definitely be made for more tackle depth at the very least on this 49ers team. If you talk to any of the 49ers decision makers, so this goes to RJ Gillen, Tariq Ahmad, who are their directors of player scouting, John Lynch, but especially Gillen and Ahmad, who have gone into more details about this. The standards the 49ers have for young tackles are extremely high. And it's a combination of, the tackle position is just difficult to play because you've got to match up against the best athletes on the other side. Those are the edge rushers in this day and age. So you've got to have extremely good movement capability out on an island. But there's also a high demand from Kyle Shanahan's offense to get out into space, to deliver, not just hash to hash, but hash to sideline as an offensive tackle. So the 49ers have very, very stringent physical parameters for tackle. And those parameters usually are not met by tackles who fall outside of the top 5 or the top 10. So at number 11, where the 49ers are drafting, it is at least questionable to think that they might be able to find an offensive tackle that fits their stringent parameters. Armand Membu, I would think, fits their stringent parameters. He's one of the best testing tackles that we've ever seen. Will Campbell out of LSU is one of the best testing tackles we've ever seen. These guys are comparable to Trent Williams when it comes to the athletic testing. So I think if one of those guys, because of the rarity of one of those guys being available to a team, because those guys typically don't become available in free agency or via trade. It was a fluke that the 49ers were able to trade for Trent Williams in 2020. If one of those guys becomes available, I think that is the highest value take for the 49ers at a spot like number 11. But I don't know if they're going to become available. Now, there is another world in which there is a tackle who doesn't qualify for the top 10 or an elite pick, falls onto the 49ers radar, and he still has the tools that the 49ers covet. It's just a lot less likely. I look at Connerly, the tackle out of Oregon, or Charles Grant, the William and Mary tackle, as two potential candidates for that. I mean, Charles Grant might be a second, third round pick, maybe, I don't know, that probably doesn't fall to the fourth, because the guy's got 35-inch arms. There's a really, really long arm reach. By the way, shout out to Deli Board, some of the best sandwiches in San Francisco. Got a big project working on the sandwiches. We had a good breakfast burrito today. But Josh Connerly Jr., Charles Grant out of William and Mary, those are two potential ways to address tackle, or at least try to address tackle in the long term without using very premium draft capital. Then there's center, because historically, Kyle Shanahan had always treated center as a premium position that he needed, big-time talent at. I mean, you go back to Alex Mack, and then, Weston Richburg was before Alex Mack, but, in between Mack tenures with Kyle Shanahan. You had Shanahan coach Mack in Cleveland, Atlanta, then in 2021 with San Francisco. Richburg came in and was a great center for the 49ers, 2018, 2019, but then he got hurt. And the 49ers have had this weird setup at center ever since. So, the play has ranged from terrible. Remember Hronis Grasu in 2020, who might have been their fourth or fifth string center, to passable. Ben Garland, when he was healthy, that was good in 2019. To good, Alex Mack in 2021, but Alex was, 36 years old that year in 2021. To, Jake Brendel was good in 2022, but Brendel's play has not been as good lately as it was in 22. So I think, okay, how are the 49ers going to approach this moving forward, since Brendel is now on the wrong side of 30, dealing with knee tendonitis? That was something that afflicted him last year. Do you go for somebody in the draft? Somebody like Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, that's Trey Lance's school. It's probably going to be a first-round pick, right? So do you like somebody in the middle rounds of this NFL draft? I mean, it's a lot of questions for the 49ers in this regard. So those are my three top ones. I go from the offensive line to the defensive tackle position, the linebacker. I'm going in reverse order with those three. But when those are the core three. The last two are more minor, but still questions that I can see the 49ers addressing in this 2025 NFL draft. It is wide receiver depth. Are they happy with the current depth? And it is running back depth. I don't think they're happy with the depth at either position. I think they still need to add. And I think that when you have 11 picks, this is the most draft capital they've had, according to the point scale, since 2014. I think it's comparable to 2007 and 2010, and that the 49ers would love to have a couple first-round picks like in the later half of the draft to take advantage of the meaty portion. I don't think that this is like a super top 10 heavy draft. I think they love what's happening from pick number 15 on in this draft, so I think they would love to be positioned as much as possible within the top 100, but not necessarily in the top 10. But can they successfully leverage that draft capital? And they have a lot of it to be successful stocking the running back room and stocking the wide receiver room. I talk about, and I'll have another video, I had a whole article about this, about the local pro day. The reason I focused on the receivers there was because Alec Iomanner out of Stanford is a 49ers fit. Nick Nash out of San Jose State, he might be a fit too, just because this is a player who is raw. I mean, he was a quarterback up until a couple years ago, and now he just won the Triple Crown. Most receiving yards, most touchdowns, most catches out of any receiver in college football, yet teams still think that there's a lot of meat left on the bone. So if Jacob Cowan can take the next step, we did the video about him this morning, him, Pearsall, and Brock Purdy. Breakfast burrito was bomb. It was fire this morning. But if, this all works out for San Francisco and Cowan can take that next step, then you want another underling there. You want another developmental guy. So you could go for somebody like Nick Nash, probably going to be a mid to late round pick, right? Alec Iomanner, I think he fits great. I think John Lynch loves him, but that might be a second or third round pick just because he tore up Travis Hunter in college in his second to last season, right? That Friday night game where Stanford posted the massive comeback, the biggest in school history. Iomanner had almost 300 receiving yards. So you could spruce up receiver. You could spruce up running back. In fact, I think you have to spruce up running back. Unless you want Patrick Taylor as your number 3. I think Patrick Taylor's a 4. Right now, you've got a good 1-2 punch. You've got McCaffrey, and you have your man Isaac Guerendo. Those of you just joining, we're in Salesforce Park, San Francisco. This was built later in my tenure in the city. That is the tallest building on the West Coast. That is the Salesforce Tower. I think it's 1,170 feet tall, 181 Fremont, tallest residential only building west of the Mississippi. I mean, you've got a lot here. We could walk around. We can enjoy the sights. And I'm on like the 5th floor of this whole complex. It's beautiful, isn't it? A little oasis in downtown San Francisco. All right, we had fun. Those are my 5 biggest 49ers questions. Mike wants me to talk about a Debo replacement. We'll do another video on that. I think the Debo replacement is Ricky Pearsall. I think the 49ers just move into more man coverage beating instead of bulldozer Debo Samuel. Debo is one of one. You got to find another player with a different skill set and win in that way. You can't just go and replicate Debo Samuel. Special player, that ran its course. So has this show. We'll talk to you soon. We'll end it right here. Yeah, Harold Fannin Jr., remember the name. Maybe the 49ers draft him. Let's pivot this. Let's take a look. Let's see where we're at. You guys want a tour? You'll get a tour. Why don't I walk you guys around before I end the show? I think they're probably going to kick me out. I think they close this place at dusk, so probably time for me to start packing up. We're headed to Hayes Valley tonight. Hope to see some 49ers fans there. But when they built this place, I mean, it took forever. It's supposed to be the train station once the train actually comes here in San Francisco. And so they had to build down first, then they built up. The goal is to make it the Grand Central of the West. I don't think it's that quite yet. But in many ways, it's nicer than New York, as you can see here. The buses come in on that bridge. The buildings surround us. The sun shines really nice. And we can make our way forward. And they've got like every single bit of California tree type is here, which I think is really neat. They did a great job landscaping it. Yes, I'm in downtown San Francisco for those of you guys asking questions. Look, they even talk about earthquakes here. Seismic joint earthquake. Look, Chilean garden. So this is not just San Francisco. They've got trees from Chile here. Chile, I guess, if I want to pronounce that correctly. I'm going to walk to this end of it. Then I'm going to catch the subway. I call it BART. I decided to go here for a live instead of the room back home. I mean, we could do the studio, or it could be a really nice night in San Francisco, and we could do this instead. We might even be able to take the elevator down and do something cool. Why don't we do that? Hopefully I don't lose you guys in the elevator. Let's see how this works. This is more fun, isn't it? Well, I just called the elevator and it left. That was rude. I've never actually pressed an elevator button and then seen it leave me. I guess this one's coming. If there's somebody on the elevator, I'll end the show. Yeah, well, they may be here. We'll wait for them. All right, hopefully you guys don't lose me. We'll go down to, This might be the only elevator ever where we don't lose service. Oh, it's the gym. I worked out here before. One more and we're on street level. As you can tell, this place is kind of a ghost town. Hopefully they build it up soon. Hopefully people start coming back into the office downtown. And I think that there's been some signs of life here, which is good. Because they've got all this beautiful architecture, but it's just a little bit underutilized right now. Any questions? We'll walk and talk right now. I was in Levi's Stadium and I didn't lose service in the elevator. When was that? I don't remember doing a Levi's Stadium elevator show. Sounds like that didn't happen. Yeah, there's nobody here. Well, you know, one thing too, it's also Saturday. This is kind of cool. Check this out. So you could see up to the rooftop where I just... That is the Salesforce Tower at the very top. Now the problem is I can't get through right here because of this gym. This is Fitness SF. It's a good gym, but it doesn't let me walk through, so I gotta take the stairs back up. I'm ready for more questions, guys. We're making our way. Oh, I think we're at the bus station now. Oh boy. Oh, this is interesting. This is the fanciest bus station in the world. And it's not used at all. Well, maybe a little bit, but it's completely empty. This is crazy. Look, there's a bus coming now. I think you could take these buses to the East Bay. So they built this palace, and unfortunately, they're just not being used. But again, it's the weekend. Oh, you're saying an elevator? That wasn't a live. Somebody's asking me about that was when I recreated John Lynch's walk from the press box down to the field. That wasn't a live, that was a pre-recorded video. That was really cool. I demonstrated how John Lynch made it from his booth down to the field in a minute and 46 seconds because people didn't think that it was possible, but took the express elevator and made it all the way down. But it wasn't a live. That was a pre-produced video that we later uploaded. I have the whole place to myself. I mean, the Transbay Terminal bus station. Who would have ever thought that there would be a 49ers show done from the Transbay Terminal bus station? I've got the whole place to myself. That's why we got to, you guys need to come with some better questions. So if you come with better questions, then we could do these cool shows. Oh, look, I found a bus. There's actually a bus here. The only one in the whole station. Like, it probably cost them $10 billion to build this, and there's literally only one bus in it. This is absolutely wild to me. There's a lot of meat on the bone. A lot of potential here still to be realized. Let's go downstairs. I think I finally found the grand hall. Yeah, here it is. This is gonna be good. It's gonna be very good. So you can take these escalators up to the roof where we were just at. But we're not taking those escalators. We're going down into here. This is the main building. There we go. This is it. Oh, we've spotted our second bus just in time to head down the escalators. Like I said, it's the fanciest bus station in the world. The fanciest unused bus station in the world as well. But it's really nice. San Francisco's potential, guys. The comeback is going to be great. I don't think you guys want to look at me. I think you guys want to see this. Looks like dusk is taking over. I mean, it looks like something out of Europe or Asia, some of those new constructions, doesn't it? Just minus the people. You just want more people in here. I think there will be more people here on a work day, especially since people are coming back into the office. All right, guys, that's it. I'm gonna go hop on the train right now. Not the train here, the train a block away. Maybe we'll see you out tonight. Everybody have fun. Those are my 5 big 49ers questions.